Jai Hind to everyone. My name is Mili Srivastava from AKGEC Engineering College from IT department. And today I'm going to discuss topic exception handling in web technology. So what are the exceptions and how we can handle all that exceptions? First of all, what is exception and why it occurs, and what are the types of exceptions and what are the examples of exceptions? Exceptions handling is a very useful and important part of any programming. So first of all, I'm going to discuss about exceptions and what is the difference between exceptions and errors. Errors, we already discussed about error, what are the error and what kinds of error. Now in this lecture, I'm going to discuss about exceptions. So exceptions is also a type of error, but there is some difference between exceptions and errors. So what are the difference? That is exception handling, and basically exceptions is the process of responding of unwanted or unexpected events when a computer program runs. Exception handling deals with these events to avoid the programs or system crashing, and without this process, exceptions would disrupt the normal operations of a program. So an exception is an unwanted event, and we can also say that exception is runtime error, which is not detected in compile time. Exceptions types of error, when the error kind of exception, these types of errors are defined in runtime error. So this is also known as runtime errors that interrupts the normal flow of programs. Like we can say that 6 upon 0. What is this? This is not error. This is exception. So because the answer is infinity. So this type of error is known as exceptions. So how we can handle these types of exceptions, that is runtime exceptions, that is runtime error. So in such cases, we get a system generated error message. In these, whenever occur runtime exceptions, there is a system generated error message which occurs and defined by user. Now, by handling the exceptions, Java programs provides a meaningful message. What kinds of message? Exceptions occur for numerous reasons, like including invalid users input, code errors, device failure, the loss of network connections, insufficient memory to run the application, or we can say that memory conflict with another program, and a program attempting by zero, or this is example of attempting by zero, or a user attempting open files that are unavailable. So there are so many kinds of exceptions. So the main part is exception handling, which is very important and useful. So in this case, how we can handle exceptions? There are basically, how is exception handling? How we handle any exceptions in runtime or compile time. That is, in a program has a lot of statement, and an exceptions happens halfway through its executions. The statement after the exceptions do not execute and the program crashes. That is, exception handling helps ensures this does not happen again when an exception occurs. So we can say that if an exception occurs which has not been handled by programmers, then program execution gets terminated and a system generated error message is shown to the user. That is, an exception generated by the system is given below. That is, there are so many types of process of program by which we can control exceptions. Like exception handling is useful for dealing, this is also very useful, I already said. So exception handling is useful for dealing with exceptions that cannot be handled locally. Instead of showing an error status in the program, the exception handler transfer controls to where error can occur be handled, and a function can throw exceptions or can choose to handle exception. So exceptions in thread main Java arithmetic exception. This is basically syntax of exception handling in Java case. So What are the types of exceptions? There are so many methods. First of all, I'm going to discuss what are the type of exceptions. What are the types of exceptions? Basically, there are two types of exceptions, that is checked exception and unchecked exception. So what are checked exceptions? Also called compile time exceptions. The compiler checks the program. If not, a compilation error displays on the system checked exceptions handling SQL exceptions and class not found, that is expected or checked exceptions. And the second is unchecked exception. What is unchecked exception? Unchecked exception occur in runtime, so also called runtime exceptions. These exceptions occur during program executions. This is the example of like any digit 1 0 goes to infinity. This is the example of runtime exceptions. So these exceptions occur during program execution. These exceptions are not checked at compile time, so the program is responsible for handling these executions. Unchecked exceptions do not give an compilation error. Examples of unchecked exceptions include null pointer exceptions and illegal augmentation exceptions. So we can say simple example. Now the next point is how we can handle advantages of exception handling. There are so many advantages of exception handling. That is, exception handling ensures that the flow of program does not break when an exception occur. And for example, if a program has bunch of statements and exception occurs midway after executing certain statement, then the statement after the exception will not execute. That particular part will not execute in that case whenever exception occurs. So how we can handle that runtime exceptions? I also discussed what is types of exceptions, checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. In checked exceptions, all exceptions other than runtime exceptions are handled by checked exceptions. And in that is, for example, SQL exception, input output exception, class not found exceptions. All these are examples of checked exception. Now next is unchecked exception. Unchecked exception, also known as runtime exception, because this is occur in runtime. Now, runtime exception are also known as the unchecked exceptions. These exceptions are not checked at compile time because it is checked in at the runtime. So, these are some examples of unchecked exceptions. That is arithmetic exceptions, null pointer exceptions, array index out of bound exceptions. These are unchecked exceptions, also known as runtime exceptions. Now, these are some common scenario or syntax which are occur in Java. Some scenarios and checked exceptions may occur. Common scenario of examples, that is, I'm going to take one example. We know that how we can handle exceptions with the example of try and catch methods. These are the some methods. And a scenario where arithmetic exception occurs, I already told, like 50 upon 0, that is arithmetic exception. These types of exception, that is known as arithmetic exception. Now second scenario is, if we have a null value in any variable, performing any operation of the variable throws a null pointer exception. So basically these are some two common scenario of Java exception. Now scenario where array index out bounds exception, when an array exceeds to its size. As we already know that when we define array, any array, we all there is a must condition, that is we initialize the size of array initially. So this is one of the disadvantage of array also, which are handled by linked list. So Array index out, suppose we define size of array is equals to 10 and the limit of that is exceeded by 20. So that kind of error is known as array out of bound exception. This is syntax of array. So basically there are three keywords: try, catch and finally. With the help of these three keywords, we can handle any runtime exception or exception. We can handle that exception. So how we can handle that exception? The try keyword is used to specify a block where we should place an exception code. It means we cannot use try block alone. So we use catch or finally. So in case of the catch block is used to handle the exception, it must be preceded by try block. And finally, the finally blocks is used to execute the necessary code of the program. I'm going to take one example of this. Like this is syntax of try block that may cause an exception. So there is syntax of try. That is, we can say console.log x in x dot variable. We take any variable that is with the help of try catch block. I'm going to simplify this example like console dot log. This is console dot log. This is catch error. So basically, this is one example of simple try, and I already told that try not works alone. So what is in this case? In the case of try block, the try block contains set of statements. There are some set of statements which is handled by where an exception can occur. So this is the statement that may cause an exception. While writing a program, if you think that certain statements in a program can throw a exception, enclose them in try and handle that exception. Try catch. Try, basically we can, with the help of try keyword, we can try to handle that exception, and with the help of catch keyword we can easily catch that exception by which any program may not execute, and there is some error which is runtime or compile time maybe. So a catch block is where you handle the exceptions. This block must follow the try block. Without try block, there is no execution in catch blocks. A single try block can have several catch blocks associated with it. We can catch different exceptions in the different catch blocks, like hit and trial method catch this type of exception, catch this type of exception. So many types of exceptions we can catch. For example, if an arithmetic exceptions error, simply when we write any program switch case statements in C, so there is also we can check so many statements with the help of switch cases or if else statement in try block. Then the statement enclosed in the catch block for the arithmetic exceptions or executions. Now, in whenever this is syntax of try and catch block. This is try and a statement that may cause an exception, catch, exception type, object, error handling, code. So this is basically syntax of try and catch used in Java program. Now, this is example of simple public class try catch. Example 1, public static void main. We can print any statement. May not exception, may throw exception, rest of the code system of .SOP. With the help of SOP, this rest of the code may be displayed in the output. So this is the output exceptions in the thread main and exceptions error by 0. This is simple example, one example of try and catch block. This is the output. So there's one more part, that is multiple catch block in Java. So what is multiple catch block in Java? I already discussed. There is one try there are many catch blocks followed by one try. So a single try block can have any numbers of catch blocks. A generic catch blocks can handle all the exceptions, whether it is array indexed or arithmetic expressions holding. It is so many like runtime errors. These exceptions occur during programs is responsible. There is basically programs is responsible for handling these exceptions. That is runtime exceptions. That is array size of array not found properly, and arithmetic expressions any digit followed by 0 and divided by 0, that is infinity. So null point exception. If no exceptions occur in try block, then the catch blocks are completely ignored. Corresponding catch blocks executions for the specific type of exceptions. This is a flow chart of catch block. This is one example of multiple catch block. Public static void main, system.out.println, catch statement. This is warning. This is another warning, and so many. There are three catch blocks in which 3 meanings are followed by that program. Now, so this is all for exception handling. Thank you so much.